that. Right, Gemma. It's been. We saw you in Byron.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was ages ago.
Yeah, so that was ages.
When was that?
So I think that was. It was just what it was your
wedding.
sister's hens do.
Yeah, that would have been a couple of years ago, at least 3. Well, when were you living in Oz?
No, it's two.
2.5.
2.
Oh yeah, 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just float through it all, space and time, and
Billy
here I am.
Billy was in a
Yeah, she was so little.
like a carrier. Front carrier, so she upgraded to. I thought I was looking back through the photos the other day with her, and the front carrier started when we went to Australia. So it was some time in Australia.
Yeah.
So about 2.5 years ago, and then of course, and this would be a good place to start. I came along to your farewell for seed.
Yeah, that was so nice that you made the effort to come along.
Well,
it meant a lot. It really did, because you really were. Like an inspiration point. Like it's a forever moment in my memory of like sitting at that table at Ryla, having that conversation, and then just like this whole thing erupting inside me of like, we can do something about these questions he's saying, you know? Like there's something here.
Was that 5 years from then or 5 years from the launch?
Oh gosh. I'm not one for memory things. I'm not that girl.
No.
Yeah, maybe.
No, that's probably from the launch.
Well, didn't we do Ryla in like April? Wasn't it an April time of year?
Yeah, because we had Anzac Day there.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so I'm remembering that. And then
that
Seed's birthday is in September. So it must have been about 4.5 years ago then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
September. Holy shit. Is that how long it took?
I know. Yeah, I remember you getting a bit like, oh, we're just going to get on and do it.
Yeah.
But it was a process because we were sitting at the society.
Disc was really coming
your
out.
red disc. Yeah, that's so true. I'm like, come have some fun at the E. Oh no, the I. Yeah. But it was a bit of a process to set up the society rules and then the charitable status, and then get the funding, and then get people together and get people on board. And
I think those details there are probably what means that it has longevity. Like what a foundation.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad we took the time. And that I just laughed when you got frustrated.
So do I. No, it was really cool. Having like, I came along to 3 design-centered brainstorming sessions.
Yeah.
With 3 different people, and that was when it was like, right, we think we know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Now let's ask people. Like I wasn't privy to the survey, but talking to you after it blew you away. Like sort of heart-wrenching hearing some responses.
Totally. Yeah. Totally weren't alone.
Actually, even Mitch Graham was,
shout out Mitch,
big burly Mitch, saying, "That's some heart-wrenching reading."
Yeah, for sure. Just people were so isolated, so feeling so alone, so disconnected, and did want to make Hamilton a better place, and did want to kind of change the culture, and did want to find ways to grow and find inspiration, and like people wanted to stop complaining. They wanted to do something about it and to shift young culture, and so it was like sad, and it was also a really exciting opportunity because people are like, so you mean that we can be part of the change we want to see? It's like, yeah, that's how this works. Yeah, but what a journey, hey, to see where it started there and where it ended up just only 4 years on. And I know it's got so much more to do, and stepping back has been such a process. It's really been like a grieving process in a way.
Yeah.
Of like letting this thing go that you spent all your waking hours thinking about, and to just lovingly release it, knowing that my time with it had come to an end. It was not my journey to continue taking it forward. And I think that was really interesting in my journey of kind of social entrepreneurship, of having my first experience of knowing when it's time to like let something go so that it can grow beyond you and like it actually isn't about you. And I got so many gifts and lessons from that experience of really tuning into the energy of whatever you bring into the world. You know, like I think about seed as an energy or an entity that wanted to come through. It has its own energy, its own vibe that it wants to have in moving through you. And so to really sit and in meditation, I actually did a lot of breath work with this as well, and to ask, you know, what is it you would like me to do? Seed,
what
this
stage
energy.
Of things was that?
This would have been earlier this year.
Okay.
And just asking it, you know, am I the one to really keep moving this forward? I'm getting a sense that my energy is being called somewhere else. Like I was really interested in trauma. Mm-hmm. And I really wanted to have more presence with my son Malachi. And so I just thought, you know, maybe this is this time. And I felt the message come through really strong that it was for someone else to take forward. And so then it was this huge process of like, okay, I surrender and accept that by letting go, something will come in that is more aligned for me and more aligned for seed. And it all works out, and it always does. And it did. So yeah, such a journey though.
Yeah, I'd say. So starting at the end, what was your process of resignation? What was it, and also what was your role that had been created?
I guess like the role in a title was the chief executive.
Yeah.
Reporting to a board and managing an amazing team of paid staff and volunteers, and coaching and developing an amazing group of people who contributed their time to speak or, you know, write a blog or whatever, contribute to the puzzle that was forever growing. And yeah, the process of resignation was really interesting because it was a matter of tuning into what was my truth, and that was that my truth was that my time had come to an end, and writing a letter to communicate in all the nuances and essence of that energy and that spirit, and wanting to be able to leave it in an amazing place, but also honor what my truth was that it wasn't for me to take forward any further. And so, yeah, it was like a writing process, a grieving process. And then just, I think there was a lot of shock for a lot of people, not knowing that was coming or feeling surprised about it. And also a lot of people seeing it coming too. But yeah, it was it was rich with lessons and learnings. And I think to be able to leave something in a place where it can be like a ripe, juicy orange to be squeezed. Like there's so much more that seed is going to do and will do. And the amazing people that are a part of it have everything they need to be able to do that. And so, yeah, it's just like such a process to just let it go. And for me personally, I wasn't going to any work. I wasn't going into anything. What I heard in my breath work and in my meditation was to actually be in the vortex of nothing, and to just sit in stillness and to really recalibrate and to trust and surrender in the biggest ways. So yeah, I haven't worked in 6 or 7 weeks, and it's been so transformational and so healing and so restorative. And what is for me is being revealed in the silence, in the stillness, in meditation. And I fully surrender and trust that to guide my life now, more than anything else, more than what anyone says. And it's just like so powerful to take your power back and trust your intuition and your inner guidance around what you're being called to do.
Okay, so where in your life journey do you feel you're similar to?
Ooh, can you say it in other words? What do you mean?
So is it like being an intermediate person going to high school and looking for what am I going to do in life? This is,
yeah.
I sort of think about high school, you know, we know I'm odd. I already had it. I already had it at 12, so that was it's still not my story, but like there's like a big chunk of work to be done that should hopefully have an outcome and a direction at the end of. Is that kind of a similar essence?
Yeah, maybe like graduating high school.
Okay.
But not knowing what the hell you're going to do.
Yeah.
Or where you're going because you're not sure.
So those that haven't watched your talk at university.
Yeah, that's a throwback.
Yeah. What was the place you got to like leave care and prove counsellors wrong at that point?
Yeah, that was crazy. That's still probably to this day the most courageous thing I've ever done. Like, I'm getting sweaty palms thinking about how I'm feeling being on stage. No, it's good. It's good.
Oh, the being on stage part.
Yeah, well, that I was going to say those words out loud. So when I graduated from the University of Waikato, they invited me to be the student speaker there, and I knew in my heart that I needed to say and talk and give a platform to mental health and mental distress. And I have navigated the complexity of drug and alcohol rehab and drug-induced psychosis, schizophrenic, bipolar, postpartum anxiety, postpartum depression, all da things. And when I was doing this speaking opportunity, there's 1,000 people in that fucking room. I was so fucking scared.
And Jim Bolger, you didn't know.
On Jim Bolger! Oh my god, that's so cringe. He introduced himself twice, and I forgot who he was because he put on his robes. And I was like, yeah, Jim Bolger, and obviously I didn't know. Yeah, I just didn't have the context.
What is he? What is
the
it actually?
Minister.
Right honourable. And was he Vice Chancellor or just Chancellor?
Well, yeah, the highest thing. Yeah. Well, shout out, Jim. That was really lovely that you catered to my naivety in those moments. But he introduced himself, and he was in one outfit. And then he came back in the room, and I was like, oh, kia ora, I'm Gemma. And he's like, well, are you all right? Because we just met. But he had his, like, regalia. Is that the regalia? Whatever the word is. And I was so anxious. I wasn't really present, obviously. But anyways, I used the opportunity at the graduation ceremony to just talk about mental distress and how I had navigated overcoming everything that my psychiatrist told me I couldn't. So at my worst with my drug-induced schizophrenia, I was fully disassociated from Gemma. Like, I was a completely different character, and I couldn't go to the grocery store because I had so much paranoia. I thought there was people following me. Like, I couldn't work. I lived with my grandparents. Shout out grandma. Grandma slept with me a lot because I would have a lot of visual hallucinations in my sleep and wake up like levitating and crazy shit going on. And so to overcome everything that the doctors told me I couldn't, live independently, hold down work, and then, graduate or study, they're like, you're so far gone, you won't be able to integrate. I was on so much medication. 400 milligrams of quetiapine daily, and other things that would be ushered in when different kind of symptoms flared up. But yeah, to be able to get up and talk about that.
Or is that people supplied that to you and sort of monitored you?
Oh yeah, grandma helped me with my medication, my dosage, because that became something that could be abused as well, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a lot of wraparound support. I was an outpatient in a community drug and alcohol facility 4 times a week. So it was quite intense, and I didn't work. I was really living with my grandparents. They're Seventh-day Adventist, and so there was a lot of volunteering or just being in the gardens and just chilling out, which kind of felt like being in a facility in a way. I didn't have a job. I didn't have a car. My phone calls were monitored. Yeah, it was kind of its own facility. But to be able to overcome all that stuff was really amazing. And then, I think I've been so curious about, what are the conditions that support you to succeed despite the odds? And what are the mechanisms that are present in my own lived experience of this crazy, literally going crazy? What are the modalities, the tools, what are the strategies that supported me to be able to go from thinking I was Alice from Alice in Wonderland for 4 months to working with an amazing group of young people to be able to build a regional charity that supports our growth and the ways in which we can contribute to our city. And I'm like, I got so curious about it and started studying my own lived experience, and then like listening to understand other people's lived experiences and the tools that they used as well, which has led me now, I think, to my interest in trauma and wanting to better understand that as like the root of the root of the root, you know, rather than keep putting band-aids on. Like, where does this come from and why? And how does it work in the body, in the mind? Yeah, I'm curious.
What are some of the learned skills, applicable skills then?
From studying my lived experience?
From your lived experience.
When I look back on my lived experience, cultivating self-awareness is like number one.
Okay, so what did that originally look like and how did it transition?
Yeah, at the start, it was mood monitoring. So because I was diagnosed with bipolar before that, they needed to understand like what's going on. And so I realized, just even bringing awareness to how am I feeling? And on a scale of 1 to 10, where would I place it? And then realizing over an extended period of time that I'm a 9 or a 10 or a 1 or a 2. Oh, that's interesting. Now with this insight, I can do something about that, like take medication or practice the mindful skills that the psychologist was teaching me or whatever. And so I think right at the start it was that. And now it's like doing breath work and tuning into my inner guidance system and asking my intuition, what would you want me to know right now? You know? And so it's like, translated and progressed so many different ways. Journaling, I think, probably was in the middle for a huge part, where it was just kind of like free writing or future self-scripting, which is an amazing tool.
No, I use that.
Yeah? What have you future self-scripted?
So I future gratitude.
Ooh, love that.
Yeah. So my diary, it's an A5, and I can fit sort of 3 days journals on a page.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have the date, start again. Cheers, Rich McCaw.
I don't know the reference.
No, it's in his movie. That's what he wrote in his playing journal. 33,000. So that's about on average how many days you live.
Yeah.
86,400 is how many seconds there are in a day.
Ooh.
So if you stuff up 1 second, don't worry.
Oh, that's a good context.
Yeah. So that's my top line. Then I get my quote, and then 3 things to be grateful for, 3 affirmations, and then some sort of future gratitude.
Nice.
Mostly it's around, so it's more like a visualization tool. I visualize me being on my farm with the scenery. Like I can visualize walking from my home across a gravel driveway to the kitchen, turning the lights on, meeting the staff.
Amazing. It's already done.
Checking in, and then going out on the farm, like taking people to it on the farm, meeting up with groups that are there to retreat.
Oh, cool.
Going out to the back where there's a hut and checking in with those guests. Yeah. So.
Oh, I love it. I love how specific it is.
Yeah. So then to be future gratitude is like, I think about things that would have got me on the way, or thinking about like what that environment looks like with loved ones. And
nice.
so it's like a home, and there's like people around, and there's food and there's wine, or there's like the coffee machine.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that.
So that's my like.
That's so cool.
Future visualization. That's
so powerful. Yeah, I definitely think in studying more and more of my own lived experience, I'm realizing that visualization is it was an unconscious competence. I didn't realize how much I visualized everything I did before I did it. And that's one of my secret sauce, like ingredients to just executing so much.
so on me, that's where my like red disc, the dominant stuff can get. It can be a problem.
Yeah.
Because I've already seen it happen.
Right, and then you're getting frustrated and impatient.
Or there's like things that are taking me off course, can get. And I've spoken about it before that if we were to look at that emotional wheel and like, you know, you can dissect your key emotions into smaller emotions and smaller emotions. I just get a little bit stuck in the anger. need to take those anger steps out.
Yeah, well, awareness is the first key, right?
Yeah.
So then you can go and scream in the park like I do. Smash the ground and have a tantrum. Yeah, you just gotta let it out. And not making yourself feel wrong or bad. This is another thing that I've learned too, is like... Sorry, I'm back. Another thing I've learned is the shame, guilt, and fear keep you so contracted and like unable to execute and do stuff. So what I realized I became like masterful at was like recognizing and accepting whatever was here. So if I was feeling frustrated, I'm like, hey, frustration, hi, what do you need? Oh, okay, you need to write it out? Okay, let's sit down and I'm here for you, you know, like kind of personifying it in a way and like giving it space to be seen, heard, and understood. And this is my relationship with all of my emotions. And I think it's actually part of being like a bit crazy. Like these are one of the strategies from the earlier days was like naming everything that came to me because there was so many things going on.
Did you need to like, what is the word to make like legitimate?
Like, real?
No, like you get a flood of things coming through.
Yeah.
Did you need to like name them and like label them so that you could be like, are you real or legitimate?
Yeah, real. Yeah, for sure. Well, what is real?
yeah.
Perceived and actual, but what's actual?
Yeah.
And this is, I think, maybe the gift of my journey is like going through what most people really fear, you know, like when I would say to people, and I learned to kind of keep my story to myself once I really alchemized it was, oh yeah, I'm schizophrenic. Or I learned over time to say I experience schizophrenia to really create that distinction. Like I am not what I have been labeled. It's something that I experience. But I think the real gift of navigating that has been that I've been able to really make sense of and like dissolve so much fear into this part of the human experience and like give it love. And so I can talk about it now in a really open way that doesn't feel scary for me and kind of invites in a conversation for people who maybe are quite fearful or confused. And I'm quite okay with, you know, the way that I see the world is that there is a rock. It's a really fucking huge rock. And everyone has a seat, you know, facing the rock. And everyone's got a different point of view of the rock. We're all looking at the motherfucking rock. Like, however, if you're sitting far right, top left, center right, whatever, you're just going to see it in a different way. And I think going through this experience of like chronic mental distress has just taught me that there's many reals. There's many ways to look at the rock and it's all good. The way that you see the rock does not, it actually does not impact on my ability to be able to live my life. If I'm fully grounded in my truth and have done my own inner work to heal my triggers, my trauma, my shit, my whatever. And yeah, it's just like this really liberating thing to realize that I've had choice, I get choice. So what do I choose? And it's up to me to do the inner work and go inward to understand what's coming up for me in my outer world, to then create my real. But you are doing the same. You will do it in your own flavor, in your own way. And maybe you go sideways and then you go inward and then you go upward and that's sweet as. You're doing you, you know? And so I think for me, I've got this like, I'm not too judgmental, I guess, of different people's experiences because I have a sense of like, oh yeah, I can kind of get that because I've been Alice for a while, you know, or like, yeah, like some crazy shit's happened and it's like, yeah, that happened. It's all good, you know?
Yeah. Now you said the word shame and like I've had sort of a conversation with Morgan Penn quite a few times. We sort of share the same thing that unfortunately Catholicism ingrained that a little bit, is the shame factor.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I think so finishing uni, I was given the God delusion, and I just didn't get through it. I found it quite. What's his bloody name? Dawkins, Richard Dawkins. He's like angry. He's like angry at religion.
Oh yeah.
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 And I just couldn't get on board with it. It's a long book. I was like, but I think by that stage, going through uni, then I was like, and probably most of my life had question marks. I listened to your second episode of your podcast, and it was funny how you were like, oh, that next question, like, who created God?
Yeah.
Yeah. And at the same time, learning like a scientific thing, like how does the Big Bang, like, where does it all come from? Energy's constant. Like, what's before the Big Bang? It is the next question.
Yeah.
But just the like shame and compliance factor of things is just constantly on your back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you, with religion, you try like find your space within it, and like find where it marries up, and like, I'd be at uni living my life, and then I'd go home, and then I'd go to mass with Dad, and I'd sit there in mass going like, what's going on? Or like, in my first year of uni, I went, my grand still lived in Auckland, and I like middle of first year of university, the debauchery of that. And then like going out to my grand, going to mass like in St Heliers. It was just like,
there's a lot of prayers to be done.
it was just like this is bizarre, but like, yeah, shame is like a massive thing out of it.
Yeah.
And then like the other week, it was like bedtime, and my girlfriend's daughter was doing her prayers, and I was like, oh, that's really sweet. I said, like, do you want to tell Billy like what that was? And then the same, like, we were around dinner, and I said to my girlfriend's daughter, like, do you want to have grace? And she was a bit shy. I was like, I'll tell you what my dad says.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And it was just like simple, and I was like, oh, that is really nice thing to do with your food.
Yes. Intention setting.
Yeah.
Intention setting. Yeah. I think there's a lot from religion that we can take. Like, Vinny in that episode talked a lot about bringing spirituality from religion into the 21st century. That he said it so much more poetically. Like, there is a lot of shame and guilt, and I can definitely say, like, growing up in the church and going to a Christian school, I also like did missions trips into developing countries like Cambodia and Thailand and the Philippines, and went back multiple times to those countries too. But I feel like there was this there's a belief system that gets rooted into the psyche of like, you are innately a bad person and you need to repent. And that's when you repent, then you're okay. And also there's something outside of you that saves you. And this is what Malu talked about in the first episode of Take Your Meds, was like, understanding that your higher self, or praying to the highest version of you, or for the highest version of you, is you taking back your power, in other words. But yeah, there was so much shame and guilt that I will be honest, I think I'm still working through. Like, even as a woman, I feel like there's a lot around sensuality and sexuality that it's like, no, you need to be a good girl. Like, you can't do, and even like the way in which like witches are talked about, it's like, or tarot cards, or like all the stuff that is like actual devil worship. Like, we couldn't watch Harry Potter or like any of that stuff, and now I feel like I'm still opening up layers of this belief system that is so deeply rooted in my psyche of like, you need to be a good girl, and this is what good girls do, and I feel like I'm going through this phase of like the liberated woman. I'm like, I got my fucking oracle cards, and like, I'm doing all these things that I think my shadow self, really, like bringing parts from my shadow forward to be seen, heard, understood, accepted, and integrated. And then by doing so, it's so hard to feel shame and guilt when you give those parts more love, not less. And accept them as part of who you are, and then look at how they can have space in your life. It's just like the most, like, The Dark Side of Light Chasers. Have you read that book?
No.
Oh, it's so fucking good. Yeah, it talks about shadow work. That was my first introduction to shadow work, and I just went to town on it. And shadow work is basically like this concept, this belief that whatever someone triggers in you is a reflection of work for you to do. So, for example, for me, I was so triggered by people that were super like entrepreneurial or like innovative. Like, I always looked up to those people, and I gave my power away to them. Like, I'd study their work, or I would want to work for them, or I'd not realizing that if I can see it, that means it exists within me. And so when I learnt that, I was like, okay, how about I accept that I am entrepreneurial, I am innovative. So what does that part of me want to do?
What did you mean by triggered by them?
Triggered in a way that I would give my power away. Like, I'm going to become small. Yeah, I'm going to become small because you're so big.
Okay. Yeah.
It was just like this thing. And I could also say on the other side, like, I would be really triggered by people that would complain. Like, people that have this kind of victim mentality. And I realized, like, when I started doing shadow work, that there were some parts of me that had been victimized. Like, I had been a victim in my life, and I needed to go back to those times,
so
understand what had gone on.
Ignored your victim.
Yeah,
when you were a victim.
Yeah, I think that I had just bypassed it because toxic positivity.
Yeah, and so does that mean that the reason why you're triggered by someone being a victim is because there was a point in your life where you didn't give yourself space to be... That's
a great insight, yeah. That's a great reframe. Yeah, that's exactly it. And then, how can I love and accept that there is a part of me, I've called her Vicky. There's a part of me that when I'm really stressed out and overwhelmed, Vicky shows up. And so when Vicky shows up, it's just like, hi, Vicky, what do you need? Rather than being agitated and frustrated and projecting my shit out onto the world.
So how would she manifest normally? Like, everything's a problem.
Yeah, we're really, Vicky's dramatic as fuck. Like, it's all not working. Like, we use absolutes. Yeah, right, so it's all not working. Everything's wrong. It's so hard. I'm so stretched.
Everything is fucked. Everybody sucks.
Exactly.
Don't really know why. I just really want to
the world's over.
Ripping someone's head off.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it's like, oh, come on. Okay, let's just sit down and have a chat. What's going on, Vicky? And then I think what I'll usually notice is that, like, my life's in a really expansive place where I'm stretched to my edges of like what's possible for me to do or create or bring into the world. And it's kind of like, yeah, Vicky, we're here because this is a stretch edge. This is a growth zone. And so how can I just love you where you're at right now, which is that she generally needs a hug and a cry. So, like, I'm really good at, like, connecting with my body and giving myself touch, or, like, literally going to the park, playing a song and just, like, rolling around in the grass, crying, screaming, just, like, whatever's coming up, and just, like, giving myself the space to feel those things. And then guess what? Vicky goes away.
I want to park shadow work because I actually don't know that much about it.
The Dark Side of Light Chasers. Give it a read. It's really good.
So what you said about the, like, what triggers you is what you might need to address. I have plucked that from somewhere. I have that in my, like, repertoire.
Does it apply to you? If you reflect on that?
Yeah, it's in my, like, repertoire of ideas.
Okay.
Of, like, things to be aware of.
Oosh, nice.
Yeah.
What comes up for you with it?
Victim mentality is big. Not doing things is big.
Yeah.
And so I think it also is, like, the things that I hold myself accountable for, that I'd be letting myself down, and so I project those I guess values onto other people, and so I feel hurt by that someone's letting me down, and I feel so then it, like, goes to my self-worth, that, like, they don't give a shit, they've let me down, you're a useless human. Like, that's like the cascading internal thought of what that does. Yeah, and it's like so that's where that thought comes in, that, like, you're getting angry at them, and as I said, that's my predominant reaction is to feel angry. And it's like, are you angry at yourself? Are you angry at them? What are you actually angry about? You know, what is their reasons for, letting you down? So the same time that I was reading God Delusion, I did some psychotherapy, and I was in there going, I'd finished uni, started working, was living in Christchurch by myself, going, am I depressed? And the psychologist, I think it was the first session, he goes, well, the good news is, Ryan, you're not depressed. I was like, is that good news? I don't know.
Yeah.
I was like, you're the one that's done the studies, mate. But he's like, you're just really hard on yourself. He said, yeah, you've got, your self-esteem is pretty low there, mate. I was like, oh, cool. He said, I think your first tool might be pretend somebody else is telling you your thoughts and then comfort them. And I was like, oh, that's good. That's been such a valuable tool.
Yeah, 100%. Because you wouldn't say that stuff to someone else.
Or if somebody else said that to be like, oh, mate, no, don't, you'd unravel it.
Of course.
Real fast.
Yeah. I read this book, Whatever Arises, Love That. And that's what really propelled me into giving myself greater self-compassion and self-love. Because I am so hard on myself, but it's also how I achieve great things.
Yes.
And I didn't want to lose that gift. But what I'm learning is that actually when I give myself more love, not less, for the parts of me that I feel shameful or negative emotions or whatever, I actually find myself in greater alignment for flow. And then it's easier, more fun and graceful for me to do the things. And it's not hard. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I don't need to work 80 hours.
But that's really good. It served so well, and it's hard to let go of because it did fucking get you here.
Of course.
When you, in hindsight, look back at like you say, working 80 hours. How the hell did you get through 80 hours? You were like, it's just got to be done, Gemma.
Yep. Get out. It's David Goggins shit.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. I had my sneakers on the floor the other day. I called on David Goggins and Cameron Haynes to go for it. 6K run. It was nothing compared to those guys. But it was just like, fuck. It was, the first day back of level 3.
Yeah.
It was like, got inside, it's a little bit lighter in the evenings now. I said, there's no fucking excuse here.
Get up, you lazy shit.
You've got
do another K.
You've just got to put the shoes on and get out the door. And it was a great run. Great run. I listened to the first 35 minutes of Donda. Not even halfway through.
Oh, so good.
Did you like it?
I love it. Honestly, Kanye. I have a lot of time for Kanye because of what he brings through. I remember seeing him as a teenager, maybe I might have been 14 or 15. He came to Brisbane and played the entertainment centre there. I think it was the entertainment centre. Anyways, he just stopped the show and would hardly sing and would just go on these rants. But as I look back, I don't think they were rants. They were just channeled bits of info for everybody if we could listen. I think he is super creative, and certainly there's some things that we do that we all do that aren't great, but yeah, I think what he brings into the world is super inspiring, and I love listening to the new album. Yeah.
Well, I need to carry on with Donda.
Yeah.
But that was one of the songs I used to be able to freestyle. Was All Falls Down. Not freestyle, rap out. Yeah. I could probably do pretty well with that song still, but yeah.
So good. Maybe a whole episode just freestyle rapping. No. What do you reckon?
No, definitely not freestyle rapping. Jesus. When I was on Hawke's Bay, I was had so what are they? 4 of the boys from the Misfits. Misfits is the all encompassing. They're called something Ultra. So yeah,
Ultralight Beams.
Yeah. So Suns is what their acronym is.
Okay.
Yeah. And so they do Freestyle Thursdays, and I just it's unbelievable.
You brought the part forward to be seen.
What's that?
Your part. It's what I call it is parts work. There's all these parts of us. They bring us joy.
Yeah.
Whatever brings you joy, just bring it forward, have it be seen, and then you can integrate it. Keep going. Yeah.
Hard out.
Oh, good.
And yeah, like exactly that. Like Kanye West, you know, it's so easy to bag on him, but exactly that. Like, you know, back to like what stage of your life are you at right now? Like what's synonymous with this? Full form, like sitting in front of the Dell computer, MSN chatting away.
Oh God!
And yeah, line wiring, frying that Dell computer,
that
Dell computer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good.
So how did you LimeWire? That must have been before you moved in with your grandparents.
What, LimeWire?
Yeah, there would have been no LimeWire.
No way, Jose. No, that would have been what? I'm just trying to think about my LimeWire, like what I would be. I loved Kings of Leon.
Oh yeah,
like adored that. I had
my brother
posters.
came back. My brother came back from uni with it. And
yeah.
Like, what is this?
Yeah, I love them. They're coming to New Zealand in March too, and I'm like, yep, I'm going.
Do you have a ticket?
Nah, it'll come to me when it's ready.
Yeah. No, we saw them in 2009 in Christchurch.
Yeah. That would have been my last year of high school. I would have seen them that year too, I reckon.
Yeah, and like everyone was like, "Oh, that concert was lame. They just played all their songs." I'm like, that concert was awesome.
Yes!
They played so many songs.
Yes, so good. I think it's Caleb, the bass player. I wasn't
in love with them. I was just in love with their music.
Biggest crush on Caleb. Oh my God, some help. Yeah. Anyways, that was the LimeWire feed. What else would have been in LimeWire? Yeah, this is my memory thing.
So
working on it.
Was Panic at the Disco in there?
No, absolutely not. No Panic at the Disco.
So
Gwen Stefani. That was my first concert.
Bloody It's Smash It. That one.
Yes, that was the album she toured.
The Shittest Bananas.
Fuck, that was so good.
Same song in it. Yeah, old Panic at the Disco. Old this is like the most circular story. So, Frozen 2.
Okay.
The song at the outro with the credits.
I have not seen it yet.
Well, you don't need to.
Okay.
You know, Malachi, he might, but Billy definitely is. This is about the fourth time. She hadn't watched it until a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then I've got an Apple TV at my house, and it was loaded on there. I was like, okay, you can watch it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she's watched them both twice. Yeah, no, not that bad, but yeah, the end. Yes, old mate from Panic at the Disco. Like,
oh gosh, yeah.
And Fall Out Boy.
Oh yeah, that's a throwback. Malachi's really into Moana. Yeah, and when you listen to the words of some of the stuff, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm listening.
Yeah,
it's like some good song. It's like good stories, I'm like, okay, we can watch this. And then there's Dinosaur Train, but yeah,
don't know that one.
Netflix.
Yeah.
He loves dinosaurs so much and trains. So it's two of his favorite things in one show.
Yeah, I did draw some dinosaurs yesterday. We're doing a card for my brother, for Alex, and then so for wrapping Alex's gift, there was some wrapping paper left over.
Yeah.
And Billy was like, "Oh, it's my birthday," and I was like, had some 3M Velcro sticky for like hanging pictures up. So I wrapped them up, and then I was like, "You want a card? Yeah, I want a card." And then I was like, "What do you want on your card?" It's like, "I want a family of dinosaurs." So,
oh, bless Billy.
We'll always be out. I don't know. Alex will be able to see in the card anyway. So yeah, there's a dinosaur in her card.
Oh, that's so lovely.
Big Stegosaurus.
Stegosaurus. Love it.
I think that's the thing I drew.
Yeah, let's just claim it. It's that.
No, maybe not.
Pterodactyl?
The big tall thing that just eats.
T-Rex.
No. It's four-legged.
Diplodocus.
Probably.
Fuck, I love dinosaurs too.
You like them too?
Oh,
so,
God.
So you say Malachi likes dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Are you sure Malachi likes dinosaurs? Like how much?
I follow his lead, and sometimes, like, he loves the beach. I'm so stoked he loves the beach because I'm a Pisces and I just need to be near the water. Like, as soon as I'm near the water, I feel like my true self comes back. And so he loves the beach and I'm so stoked.
I don't think that's because you're a Pisces, mate.
Okay.
I'm a Virgo Leo. I don't even know.
Virgo Leo, so it's your birthday recently?
24th, yeah.
Of August?
Yeah.
Oh shit, did I say happy birthday?
Nah, you shit. Nah.
Oh my God, happy birthday, Ryan.
Who looks at their Facebook anymore? Seriously.
I know, I'm really trying to decrease my use. It is the probably like something I definitely need to just own, the fact that I am on my device way too much, and I need to just...
What are you doing?
So the story I tell myself is I'm learning.
Judgment and shame.
I know. This is why I'm bringing it forward to this conversation, because the more that I can bring things out of the shadows, the more that I level the fuck up. So...
What are you doing on there?
The story I tell myself is I'm learning, because my feeds are just so inspiring. Like today I was scrolling, I found this amazing Eric Godsey podcast on trauma, and it just fucking changed my life. And so I just say like, oh, you know, I learn, I'm so inspired. But there's this one thing that Rebecca Hollis said, and it was like, you got to create more than you consume. And it just has this resonance where it's like not going away. And I'm like, lens check. Are we creating more than we're consuming? And I feel like maybe because it's like week 6 or 7 of not working, I'm just kind of like inspired and whatever. But yeah, I just feel like there's an opportunity there to look at what does this give me? And also what is this costing me? And what is the part of me that resonates with being on this fucking device so much, you know?
Okay, so I'm going to bring in my Myers-Briggs superpowers here.
Okay, go.
Judginess.
Okay, come on, Judger.
Okay, so what's Robert's background? Where's he coming from? Why does he believe that you should be creating?
Robert's an amazing entrepreneur. Yeah, he's just like a mover and a shaker.
And what? I'm jumping on your like, fuck the entrepreneurs one.
He does all kinds of things. Shit, he was like a pro snowboarder.
Mint.
And then... I don't know, he's got that, it's got like, is it a media company maybe? And then he did this other like youth work, which was really cool, traveling the country, talking about like smashing tall poppy. Just like an amazing creative.
Kiwi?
Hey?
Kiwi.
Yeah, Kiwi dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Robert. And...
Does he have big square glasses?
Hey?
Square glasses, and where's the truck again?
Yes, you got it. Yeah, that's the dude. He'd be cool to get on the podcast.
Yeah, after I just dogged him.
But no, maybe that's the story whoever's listening tells himself. You opened up a conversation. Yeah, but I don't know.
So why do we need to create though?
I don't know. Maybe it's about being in alignment with contributing.
But to what? Does it have to be contributing to the platform?
I really like this challenge. I feel like, yeah, maybe it's about capitalism.
Yeah. But like, so say you're saying, I'm 6 weeks away from work and I'm in a very inspirational zone.
Yeah. I love this fucking reframe.
But like, you don't necessarily, you know, there's so much content on Instagram that you don't have to put up another picture or another video.
Yes.
On there. So
I suppose it's more about what am I feeling called to do, and it's more about intention.
Yeah.
What is the intention of me being on this platform right now? Is it to disassociate, disconnect, numb, or am I mindfully seeking inspiration and growth?
Mm-hmm. Is it research? Are you?
Yeah, for
sure. Are you narrowing the search?
I'm a fucking nerd.
You know, but like, are you narrowing the search, or are you just going along your stories, which is fed to you, or your feed, which is clues in the title, is being fed to you?
Well, I've curated my feed.
Yes, correct.
With intention.
Yeah.
Because I want to be lit the fuck up when I open up that little button.
Yeah. Hardcore. Like that's where I align.
Yeah.
With Instagram. Yeah.
I feel like there should be I feel like I need a time limit. What I've loved, one of my friends, he's so amazing.
Do you have your apps on time limit?
Yeah, but then the
message
pops up and I just say ignore.
It's a system, no, but still it's a system interrupt though, right?
Yes.
How long do you have yours on?
I don't know. I don't remember.
So when it says ignore for?
No, I just go ignore all day.
All day?
This is real talk.
So you block it out straight away?
Straight up.
Yeah.
I'm bringing my shadow to the forefront.
You know, that's good. That's good. This is what I'm asking. Mine's on 15 minutes, but it gets
15 minutes for all platforms.
All platforms, yeah.
Shit. And then what happens when you reach it?
Well, then you get the button.
And then do you say, okay, ignore limit?
No, because you can ignore limit for 15 more minutes.
Ah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
You're really disciplined. I feel like that's...
I'm not. I'm
not
saying,
with that.
I'm saying that I press the button.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But it's enough to be a systems interrupt that it like gives you a second to go, what the fuck am I doing?
Choice point.
What am I doing right now?
Yeah, choice point. I love choice points. I've got a post-it note up. What are your choice points today?
Okay, elaborate on choice points.
Choice points. This is why I talked before about self-awareness is like mission critical number one thing to bring into your life. If you have no idea, then you've got no idea. You don't know what you don't know, right? So creating a choice point for me is my lived out value of my commitment to self-awareness and cultivating self-awareness. So, for example, getting that notification, this is a really shitty example because I don't do it, but I'm just going to talk about it. So like creating a choice point is getting that notification on your phone of like, you have been on this device for the limit that you've previously set. You now have a choice point because you've got the awareness that I've reached the limit. And so I now choose to ignore that and continue, or I choose to honor that and keep it. And so what I try and do is like, what are the ways in which I can disrupt my own patterning every day to find more choice points so that I can move into alignment of my highest version of myself and therefore have more flow, ease and grace. Because I don't want hard. Like I can do hard things. I've proved that. I can do a fuck ton of hard shit. Like, cool, sweetie, like you can do it. And so now I'm like really committed to playing a different game, disrupting all of my patterning around scarcity mindset, hard, pain, suffering, like that whole Gary V shit, like hustle, like work fucking all the time, whatever. I'm just like, okay, what if it was easy? What would I do?
Just Tim Ferriss question.
If I only had 5 moves, what would they be? And if this was fun, how would it be? And so it's like, I just like love playing these experiments and these games where it's like, this is everything I believe to be true. It's hard, it's painful, I suffer, whatever. How can I just pick up and try on an entirely different framework and just experiment and see what happens? I fucking love it.
Yeah, that's it. That Tim Ferriss question of like, if this were easy, how would it look? I think I was saying that to you guys in the seat. I was just trying to circumnavigate.
Flex.
I was just trying to push that thing up the road. Give it a nudge.
Push it uphill right there.
Yeah, no. But so back on our social media talk, because it's analogous and so many people relate. It's analogous to so many things in life. But one of the books on your shelf that you said maybe I recommended to you. Start with why. Yeah. But we were definitely talking about it.
Yeah.
Why? So that's the other thing that's good to have in your life is start with why.
Yeah.
So when you get to that choice point, why do I need to not do this?
Yes.
Or why should I be doing something else?
Yes.
So what does that start to look like for you now?
Yeah, I really love it. I think maybe I've switched why out for intention in my life. Like, What's my intention in this space? What's my intention in this time? What's my intention for this day?
Yeah.
And bringing mindful awareness to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, oh my God, there's something that was like coming through and I'm like, yeah, that's going to be fucking amazing. And now I've forgotten it. So
that's all good.
if it comes back, we'll share it.
I think that's like with level 4 why I panic. Because I can't, and it like goes back to like the identity thing, and it's like I can't be me.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what if it's an invitation to not be?
Well, that's especially last year. I fucking took that invitation. So my mate, no offense, well, not my listeners, but no offense to yourself, but like I had shot a deer. So Alex moved out on the 5th of March. I went up to Auckland on, I think, the next weekend. Then the following weekend I went to my friend's wedding. I was like, this is fun. And then I went hunting with my friend and shot a deer. And then the next weekend moved house to my mate's farm, and then it was lockdown on the Wednesday.
Oh shit, that's a lot.
So when I shot the deer on the Wednesday, I said to my mate, I was like we were above Lower Hawke's Bay, looking out to the coast over the foothills. It was a beautiful scene. I don't, some people might not find a dead animal a beautiful scene, but it was. And I said, yeah, my world might be crashing around me, but right now it's pretty bloody amazing. And then it was like the flow on. So then there was that going on, and there was going away from work, the uncertainty of how long it was for. At that point in time, the knowledge of that pay was going to be a little bit less, and then shortly after that, it was like the reality of, well, we're in this for a little while, so pay is going to be a lot less. But it was like, okay, like that's fine. I was in a like real safe place with lots of space, and yeah, I was like, right, I have this dream of being a deer farmer. I'm stuck between two deer farms on a sheep and beef farm with goats.
Ooh.
What are some things that I do not know how to do? And my mate just was replacing a fence, so I was definitely helping him learn fencing.
Jeez, that's so good. What an opportunity, though.
Yeah. And like feeding out in one of the worst droughts in Hawke's Bay for quite a while.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Yeah, and like seeing farming in one of the worst times. It was like a real like, is farming something that you want to do?
Wow, yeah.
Because
it's hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
And this is what it could look like.
Wow.
And it was amazing. Like, it was like a really cool, soft gift.
Yeah.
It was,
what was the gift? How would you describe the gift now?
So, like, talking with Paul Wood, Dr. Paul Wood the other week, I can't remember the scoring system of, like, how stressed out you are, and, like, your risk of illness starts to really increase. And unfortunately for men, that often means suicide. And I was, like, really high. And I said that to him. He said, but the key thing there, Ryan, is like the environment you were in, and exactly what I'd said a number of times on the podcast. I'm so thankful I'm not in an apartment right now. And so imagine if you're in an apartment and there's nowhere to, like, maybe you could look out, hopefully if it was Auckland, to the bay, the harbour, but like you're allowed to walk 5Ks. Is that right? I think that's right.
Yeah.
Like,
over Knowles.
I think that was the same in New Zealand.
Oh, New Zealand, yeah.
Yeah. New Zealand's very lucky that...
Oh, gosh, see, I've blocked it out. This is my memory thing. Yeah.
New Zealand's pretty lucky that in 5Ks...
a long way.
You can go a long way.
Yeah.
Like, just think about Hamilton. Like,
here
you're on the edge of the town.
Yeah.
Although that's just flat dairy country that way. But yeah, you can walk that way.
Some good walks. Yeah.
You could get to the gardens, maybe.
Oh, straight up. Yeah.
Straight up.
Easy as.
Yeah.
But there's always a gift.
Yeah, hard out.
There is always a gift. It's making the space and time to sit. And this is, I think, where I got to with this stuff. It's like, how can I create a choice point out of this shitty experience of COVID or whatever is going on in my life? It's like, if there was a choice point, what would it be? If I'm reflecting back and really sitting in the victim mentality or still feeling frustration or anger or whatever. And like, if there was a choice point, what would it be? Okay, it would have been that this really, and if I'm being genuinely honest, every fucked up thing that's ever happened to me, where I have been a genuine victim of a circumstance, I have learned a gift and a lesson that has propelled me and accelerated me towards my purpose. Every time, no matter how dark. And so the way that I see it is like, I've got a choice point here to either choose to stay in that victim mindset and that victim mentality that keeps me contracted, that keeps me really negative and keeps me really disconnected, or I could choose to find a gift, a lesson, a silver lining, a learning, not toxic positivity, not trying to bypass negative emotions, but to discover what that is and then integrate that into my story so that I can move forward and be helpful in the world. And it's like, when you see that as a choice point, why would I choose anything but to look for the gift in the lesson, because then that's going to integrate into my story of who I am and who I'm becoming, and then support me to be of service to other people. So I'm going to choose that. And so when you can cultivate awareness to discover the choice points, then you're like, oh, this is actually supporting me in my evolution and my growth, you know? And so your story, like, really fucked up. COVID's so fucked, right? And then you find yourself in the middle of 2 deer farms, like, holy moly, like, right on the path towards what you're manifesting. And then you're like, what can I discover? What can I learn here? Go and mend a fence. I'm sure that skill is going to be needed in the future. When you get there. Yeah. Because it's on its way to you. I also believe, like, whatever you desire deep down, and I feel like this is another thing too, in particular for people who really struggle with self-esteem and confidence, is like, what you truly desire is on purpose. And it's not something that, like, I feel now, because I've fully embraced what I desire. It's not something that, like, is accidental. It's like part of why you're here on the planet. So go for those things that you desire and work through the resistance and the whatever that gets in the way of getting you closer to where you want to be. But something I want to come back to that just keeps sitting with me and won't go away is, you know, like, when we build an identity around something. So, for example, this is what I was referring to earlier in this episode about the grieving process with Seed. There was points in that grieving process where it was really difficult because I had created my identity around being part of Seed. And so when we attach ourselves to things that are outside of us, it creates so much more pain and suffering to let it go. Because if we don't have that bit, then who are we? Right?
Yeah.
And that's really fucking scary if you haven't built the inner knowing of who you are, that who you are actually is fucking amazing regardless of what you do in the world. It's who you are, who you be, how you are that makes you you, not what you do. And that's really, like, such a mind explosion, especially for high achievers and people that are just go, 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 hustle, hustle, hustle. I need to, like, make me mean something in the world. And it was such a beautiful gift and a lesson to realize. And I think what I've discovered over the last couple of months is, like, I'm so dedicated to low attachment. Like, I want to be fully challenged at any part of my existence where I have attachment to something outside of me. Because that is where I limit myself. As soon as I attach to something outside of me, I have put myself into a box of what I could be. And so to have low attachment to a title, to a role, to an organization, to a political view, to a belief system, to a whatever, is to fully surrender to the human experience and be open to the possibility that actually where I am right now could just be that, where I am. And that where I am tomorrow could be a totally new experience. But if I limit myself to where I am now, I won't actually see what's possible tomorrow, to meet tomorrow where it is. And so it's just like this most, like, mind explosion. But I feel like I've needed to go through, like, you know, being a founder and someone in a leadership position, a management position, also becoming a mother. Holy fuck, that is your biggest catalyst to addressing everything that you believe to be true. But to really understand, like, anything you build an identity around, like we're laughing about the disc profile, you're a D, I'm an I, or like the Myers-Briggs, I am the campaigner. What are you?
Commander.
Yeah, I know it. But like anything, and I'm a generator. Have you done your human design type?
I said I've done it, but yeah.
I'd love to know what your human design type is.
As I said to you on the night, we didn't get enough time to talk on the night on your leaving do, but I said, like, oh yeah, Alex sent me that. It was like shortly after we'd broken up. And so
the human design.
I was like, I did it, and then I saw.
You had an aversion.
Yeah, it didn't land very well at the time. So.
I would love to know. It'd be really interesting. I'm a generator.
Yeah.
You know, these are just all labels, right? And I feel like, and even bipolar, even schizophrenic, even like
Pisces.
Even shut up, I'm definitely a water sign now. But this stuff, you know, it's just like the human experience to want to put a label and a box on something so you can close the tab and move on and focus your energy and your precious time on things that are going to propel you, or if you're in a survival mode, help you survive. And so I think I've learned, like, the more that I can detach from any label or any personality trait or anything that anyone outside of me tells me about me or the world tells me about me, you know, like, that is a lifelong journey to unlearn and bring awareness to any beliefs that you've picked up and like let land in your psyche about what you believe to be true about yourself and the world. And so, like, I'm just like in this season of wanting to dedicate, and I dedicate a lot of my day to reflection, self-inquiry, feedback, connecting with my intuition to try and like lovingly release everything that I had created safety around, really, in a way, because that's what I think the identity is. It's like, I'm safe because I've got these things and this makes me me. And
is it scary as well, because when Seed was created, you had a role and a job and an income, and now you've like released, as said, from that identity, that role,
and the income,
and you're creating something new, and that's like
very scary. Yeah.
Like you have proof that you can make it work. That's like one thing on your side.
But what it is more proof of is, I think, that I trust that whatever moves through me is for my highest good. So if I can fully surrender and trust that it's actually not me or about me, I'm just the vehicle and the vessel that does the thing. And the more that I can surrender, the more ease, grace, flow, and joy arrives, because it's not hard.
I just want to like take any assumptions out of the way. You are doing something, working on something.
Oh, you best believe.
Yeah.
Shout out Take Your Meds podcast. Season 1 is out now.
That too.
And I have a group program launching this month called Know New Things. I've run it earlier this year. It was an intuitive nudge. Mid last year, it just kind of came as this download. It was like, run this thing called Know New Things. And I was like, what? What the heck?
There it is there. Yeah.
What is it?
I was looking at the acronyms.
It's on my whiteboard.
Yeah.
NNT. I'm here to awaken consciousness within and humanity. So heal yourself, heal the world. That's your
mind map.
That's my vision. That's what I feel like I'm here to do.
Right.
Anyways, back to Know New Things. So Know New Things is a group program that was fully intuitively led. So to give you a bit of a context, the way, like, I'm first class honors business management, major in strategy and innovation. I'm qualified in community-led development, a social innovation tool, which basically is a tool that supports you to deeply understand the aspirations of a community and empower them to be the hero in their own story. Like, I know a lot about design thinking and due diligence, risk management, like all these strategies. They're all mind things.
You know a little bit about structure now too.
I do know a lot about structure. I sit on a board. I know governance very well. And so I'll just also plug with community-led development. That is an intuitive practice, but there's a model that really supports it to come to life. Anyways, Know New Things came to me, and it was inviting me to use a strategy that I had never, which was my intuition. That my intuition fully lead something, where I'm not going to validate an idea with any insights from anybody else, but I'm tuning in and trusting what wants to move through me and being fully in service and surrender to that for my highest good and the highest good of others. And so Know New Things came to life as a group program where we ended up, and I had no idea what was going to unfold except probably a couple of hours before each call each week. So it ran for 6 weeks. And what the program ended up becoming was a series of learnings and experiences that supported people to cultivate self-awareness and develop self-awareness, understand the difference between ego and soul, understand the importance of emotional regulation and how to build a relationship with your emotions, and the different strategies that you can use to protect, cleanse, regulate, and release. And then how to connect with your dreams and desires and embrace masculine and feminine energies to bring what you truly desire into the physical world. And I was just like, holy fuck, that came through by just like surrendering. And it was so easy. This is the thing that blew my mind. It was like literally a couple of hours before the call, I'd just be in meditation and everything would just come. And I'm like, fuck, like, why have I been using my thinking mind for this long? Like, this shit's there's easy.
So much to be able to manifest that out, though.
Yeah, it's been like years of doing the work. Yeah,
like you said, you read off all your background, like, of course,
studying my own lived experience and becoming present to it.
So how did you get the audience? How did it all like physically create?
I knew that I needed to do a couple of posts on social media, and I just needed to share my story. The biggest thing that held me back from bringing no new things to life was that I'm not a qualified coach, and I felt like I needed a qualification to be able to bring it to life. And then I did a bit more inner work, and I was like, you know what, I'm qualified in my lived experience, and I'm not actually going to teach anyone anything I have not taken myself through. And so in that way, and I read Dr. Nicole LePera's How to Do the Workbook, and she talks about the future of like mind, body, soul connection and facilitating experiences for people coming from those people that have a lived experience, as well as those that study it and become clinical and qualified and all the letters after their name and whatever. And so I was just kind of like, you know what, Gem, you've actually got everything you need to do this. Just bring it to life. And so I did do a post on my own social media accounts, and then I just trusted. I honestly, like, my strategy is to tune into my intuition and ask my intuition, what would you have me know? And separate to that, to also tune into the energy, know new things. You're wanting to come through. I'm just a vehicle and a vessel for that. What do you need me to do to get this to the people who are meant for it? So it's not forceful. It's not like, do 10 posts and this is the content plan. And it's just kind of like asking no new things as an energy. What would you have me do? And how can I be of service to you and how you want to manifest here? And then just following the guidance.
And then what was the feedback? Where did you get feedback? We didn't do it.
Yeah, I ended up having like 25 people apply. I knew intuitively that there was 7 people to go through the first cohort. So I curated a group of 7 incredible humans, and they came through. It was an amazing experience, and I'm getting ready to launch again in the next couple of weeks and have it in a platform where I've like pre-recorded content. I've got some amazing challenges, and you know, the issue is not inspiration. Like, we don't need more information or like knowledge. What we actually need are containers to understand how to apply, integrate, and embody what we already know to be true. Like, is there something that you know that you just need to do but are not doing?
Oh, that's a literal question?
Yeah, let's go there.
I bloody hope not.
It's like the thing you're avoiding.
No, I honestly...
You're deep in the work, Ryan. You don't need no new things. Maybe you don't need no new things. If that's your truth, that's your truth. For a lot of people that I know, that I've experienced, it's like there's something that they know that they want to bring into the world or that they're being called to do, but they don't do that. And then it creates a lot of pain, frustration, sadness for them. And so...
Okay, so my thing there, I've managed to get a trigger and get a line. Is my ambition and patience. And so I want to be a director because that's my path to being, getting equity to then buy my farm.
Amazing. Yeah.
Okay, so that's where the patience and ambition needs to be balanced. And yeah, so assertive. Man, I actually remembered the word this time. I always forget the word assertive. I need to have some assertive conversations with leadership in Patterson Burton, which I've come back to.
Fuck yes.
Yeah. So it's amazing that I actually remembered the word assertive, because it is the word that always hovers around. And I don't know whether that's my concussion or what, but it is amazing that I actually remembered today.
It is. And it's divine.
Yeah.
So the essence of No New Things would be to then go and be like, okay, I don't need to listen to another podcast. There's no other training I need to do. There's no more people I need to meet. There's no TED Talks I need to listen to. No more fucking workshops. The one thing I need to do is have that conversation. So I'm going to declare that conversation is going to take place at this time on this day. I'm going to send an email, make the phone call, do whatever I need to do, get swished up on the day, do a breath work, whatever the fuck it is, bring my dreams to life and make it happen.
And it's funny, and I'm sure it's for anybody out there that like says out loud the thing that they need to do. The quick bloody excuses and buts that come into your head.
And that's why I've created No New Things, because it's not just about taking action. It's also about understanding what brought me to the place where I still am not doing the thing. And so that's why I'm studying trauma as well. I'm just starting my trauma recovery coaching certification.
Who runs that?
The International Association of Trauma Recovery. It's like a really incredible program. What was really important for me...
Where's it founded?
They're in America.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was really important for me... So coaching is not a... is it like... What's the word? Where they're not like a regulated industry.
Yes, yeah.
And any motherfucker can like set up an Instagram account tomorrow and just be like, I coach people to whatever, after going to some retreat in a weekend and learning a modality that supported them to self-heal. And so it's like, and that's really beautiful. And I think that is important work, that we bring more awareness and we bring forward more people who are keen to share these tools. But what I'm also really passionate about is mastery and integration. And so what I love about this certification I'm doing is that there's like 40 hours of supervision that needs to take place in order to gain the certification, and that the weekly homework is like, you're doing the work, like you fully understand the ins and outs of this trauma space. So anyways, I created No New Things to be able to get to the root cause of like why we create so much distance between what it is that we actually desire and what it is that we're actually doing. And I'm just curious about it, you know. So it'd be like, yeah, I really want to hear about when you have this conversation. When are you going to do it?
There's the opportunity there.
Every day or?
No, once. So at the moment in our practices, we're bubbles outside of bubbles, and so I stay put in Tukuroa.
Yeah,
there's the invitation there to meet with the CEO.
That's amazing. Yeah, I'm so excited for you, Ryan. That's so cool.
Yeah, well, we haven't actually, again, this is like the excuses come out. Like we actually haven't been able to have a meeting since I've come back to Pattersonburg. Yeah, so
that's that A word floating around you. Assertive. Make the time.
Yeah.
Make the opportunity.
Yeah, I don't. No,
you've got everything you need to do it and fucking nail it.
Yeah. No.
Eek, this is exciting. Okay, next time we catch up, I'm asking about the conversation. The directorship.
When going back to like Vicky and the...
Oh, Vicky.
And did you call it like toxic positivity?
Toxic positivity, yeah.
So I've sort of been looking at the world lately in dichotomies, and I don't know why this is coming up at the moment. And like, again, here we have another dichotomy. It's victim mentality, or Vicky, if we like to give her a cuddle because that's what she needs.
Yep.
And the toxic positivity.
Yeah.
And that's the dichotomy of how we can look at events or traumas, as you were diving deeper into. But really, everything has nuance.
Everything.
Yeah. And so, yes, the world is full of dichotomies, but they are nuanced. And that's where my special power of judging comes in. But we don't need to judge the outcomes. We need to judge the validity across the nuance. And like, going back to what we were saying before, what is real? What is the truth in in this dichotomy, because we can make it binary and go, oh, you're just a victim, or fucking lay off, mate, that was a hard time, you're just so positive all the time, piss off, leave me alone, or we can be a fixer, or whatever. Like how have you sort of evolved these, putting them in their places and then exploring the validity of everyone's position, and then going to that word that you have been saying a lot, I heard it in your podcast a lot, the truth. What's that starting to look like?
Oh, I feel like this is like philosophy vibes. This is like diving there. And I don't feel like, I think for me, I'm focused on my inside job. Like, my responsibility is, and who I'm accountable to, and to be responsible for my influence and for my role as a mother and for my role in the world, is to focus my energy inward rather than outward, first and foremost. Like, heal yourself, heal the world. That's just like the vibe that resonates for me right now. And the more that I can tune in and understand what is my truth, I'm going to be able to make sense of the world in a different way, rather than judging everyone else's truth, not necessarily exploring, well, why do I believe that? Where did that come from? What brought me to believe this to be true? Do you know what I mean? Like,
so that's the questions your triggers are leading to. Like what?
Yeah, more self-inquiry and reflection. Like, did I choose this belief consciously, or is this something that I have picked up and left on as a result of consuming media, or like political agendas, or my parents, or my schooling? Like, I feel like I'm not obsessed, but kind of, with like navigating my belief system, because I've got tattooed on my wrist. This is when I was in therapy. My psychologist wanted to work on my impulsive behavior because I was a drug addict, and so we really needed to understand how I could create some space between I feel like doing something and I'm doing it. And so we went into CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, which is around your thoughts, feelings, and behavior. And if you can bring awareness to those things, that you can kind of hack that as a system and disrupt it to kind of create a different behavior, a different choice, which perhaps is a choice point. It is a choice point. Oh, that's interesting. But what I think is the evolution of this, and my understanding, I got this tattoo like maybe 12 years ago now, is that I'd put a big B in the middle, which is B for belief, and that the belief systems sit up subconsciously and actually drive the thoughts, feelings, and behavior, as well as what is your felt experience in your body. The more that I understand trauma, our body stores trauma in different ways. And so if we can focus our time and energy on kind of excavating our human experience, then it's just kind of like there's no time to judge. There's like no time to kind of, like look out there and do anything. I feel like when there's a conviction, or I feel like I'm being called to speak on something that's happening in my outer world, then I will. But I feel like really all I can control is where I'm at. And so how can I go to work on my own inner experience? And the more that I do that, the more my outer experience changes. And the more calm I feel, the more ease and grace arrive, the more joy I experience. And so I really feel like it's an inside job, like to really take accountability and responsibility, is to like notice life is just a container of experiences for us to, like self-heal, so that we can live in greater alignment to then manifest the uniqueness that's trying to move through us, so that we can be of service and help, be there in community with other people.
Yeah, I got sort of remembering controlling the controllables. Like, you can't control someone else, you know, and you can't control everything, but what can you control? And that makes things easier. Yeah,
and I have to say that's definitely bringing up for me, like, there was a period in my life where my inner world was so out of control that and unaware, my response was to control everything in my outer world.
Right.
So, for example, like, it's one of the reasons why I think I have been so amazing at doing things, is because I can understand the forces to bring something to life and then make it happen. But looking at the ways of my younger self would like try and control things outside of me, whether that was other people or other experiences, when really where I'm at now is like, oh, that was just a reflection of my inner world being so chaotic and needing to create some ease and some relief. So I would try and control my outer world, which is really interesting. But it's all perfect because it's brought me to where I am now, and I don't regret anything. And I own the impact of the decisions that I've made that have caused harm, and I have had those courageous conversations and will continue to do them. But yeah, I just feel like the more that we can go inward, which is really fucking uncomfortable and hard. I remember the first time I started to journal, like I couldn't even write a sentence. I was so uncomfortable just being with myself.
Did you have a trigger? Like what was your... Did you have a starting point to journal on?
No.
So what was the framing for... Jimmy, you need a journal. Like, was it like, here's a journal and a pen and like go do it, or like that's what I mean by a trigger. Like, what was there a point to put the? That's why I start how I start, because it gets the pen on the paper.
Yeah, I think for me it was Jesse, my ex-partner. He's an amazing human being. He'd say things like, "You should really spend some time alone," and I was like, "Oh, I'm so fucked off that you said that." And of course, it's an invitation to reflect. And I think over time, because he really enjoyed spending a lot of time alone and in his own company, I used to think it was so curious. I'm like, oh, that's so strange and unique. Like, what the heck? Like, I'd always need to be with people or doing something or cleaning or working or bringing something to life. Like, I'm so busy, you know? I'm an active relaxer. That's just a story I told myself. And so I think the invitation came from him, his gentle way of just sharing these insights with me. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to sit down with a pen. I bought this bougie fucking journal and I was like, okay, I've got my nice pen, I've got my nice journal. Why don't we just write a sentence and see what happens? And so the invitation came from him. Yeah. So many things to be grateful for from that relationship.
Yeah. Hardcore. Yeah, that's why we talked about gifts and like things that happen to you. There's always gifts that psychology was the same. Like, why don't you should go to some psychology? And I was like, what are you talking about? Or actually, what are you talking about?
Literally, yeah.
And it was like enrolled, and then I was like, it costs how much? Okay, right.
Were you studying psychology?
No.
Oh, you saw a psychologist? Oh, yeah. Oh,
yeah.
It is expensive. It's so expensive.
Yeah.
You know, you can get 4 free sessions if you go through the doctor. Just anyone listening.
Yeah, can you explain this? If you are in a
difficult space, yeah. If you're in a challenging space, there can be a bit of a wait, but you can ask your doctor for a referral, and you'll be able to get 6 free counselling sessions. Now, counselling's more talk therapy, creating a safe space for you to make sense of your experience. A psychologist is more focused on tools, strategies, and techniques for you to be able to navigate and move through the experience. And so you can also get 4 free psychology sessions, and every 6 months you can go back to the doctor and ask for a re-referral. So that was something I didn't know. My psychologist actually called me the other day. She's fucking amazing. And said, just so you know, every 6 months you can go back to the doctor and request again. So for anyone listening that may be in a tough place, there's absolutely no shame in putting your hand up and asking for some help. And it's really actually an act of courage. Yeah.
It's something special that my employer does. You can do it via phone or in person.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, I think same sort of thing. Maybe that's set up via the same channels that there's 4 free psychology sessions. So it might be, employers taking on that role.
I think there's a program some bigger employers have, EAP. I think that's what it's called, EAP. I actually don't know what it stands for, but I've heard of it, where some friends have accessed anonymously free support. So if you're in maybe a medium to large business, you can talk to your employer about EAP. I think that's what it's called, EAP maybe?
I think you're right. Yeah.
I don't know.
I just know it's there.
Starts with E and it's 3 letters. Oh shit. Don't quote me.
Yeah, I've done psychology twice, and both were powerful.
That's all. Do you know what the tool or technique was that they were supporting you with? No. I'm such a nerd. I always ask.
Well, it was, like, again, it was, I was very incompetent with the whole thing. You know, I went on a recommendation.
Yeah.
And then Don Vitisse, who I had early on in the podcast, he was our sports psychologist for Hotapu Rugby. We're in the hoodie.
Shout out.
Yeah. And I said, mate, I'd love to come do a couple of sessions with you. That was like after Ryla.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, cool.
So we went over that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. With your tattoo in the middle of Ryla, when Libby brought that up.
Yeah.
What was that like? Was there some like emotion come through when that was being taught?
I'm sorry, Ryan. You have to tell me what happened. I
so
don't
we talked
even
about
remember.
the like beliefs, feelings. And,
CBT.
and behaviors.
With Libby.
Yeah, with Libby.
What I remember from that Libby session was she drew a picture on the whiteboard of someone carrying a garbage bag of like everything they had picked up in their life, of just like hard experiences or tough times or like shitty things that had happened. And it's kind of like people put them in a bag and put the bag over their shoulder and like carry it around, not realizing how heavy it is to just pick up and keep carrying all this shit. And that when you let it go is when you can kind of free yourself and create a new experience. But I don't remember the other thing.
Yeah,
she had just talked about this.
Yeah, that you can disrupt. What did you call them?
Disrupt your patterns. Create choice points.
You can create choice points along that. So yeah, that was same with something we did with Dom, which for rugby was very helpful for me because back to that emotionality, anger coming out.
Yeah.
I'd let individual events in a rugby game affect me, like, and take it on board and lash out. And yeah, so I don't know which way what I changed, whether it was my thinking about the decision, it was in order to change my behavior, but it also was changing my behavior. And then we, you could recreate the belief around the situation. A lot of that's
powerful.
Yeah, like the referee's decisions are out of my control. Yeah, and that controlling what I can control. Yeah, it was a good year. That so when I first moved to Hamilton, what was that, 6 months in, it was Ryla, and then the first rugby season was finding my feet. The end of that year, I did some work with Dom, came back the next year, and lots of things happened. And then at the end of that year, I got the concussion. But yeah, played in the final 5 weeks. 5 weeks later.
Oh my gosh!
I went through the return to play protocol, but. Yeah, I think, as I said, I blame that not being able to see assertive on, because it's not just the word assertive. There's many things that I'll see everything around the framework of what the word that I want to think of, but I cannot name it. Yeah.
And it's accepting that.
Yeah.
And giving yourself more love, not less.
Yeah.
Rather than being hard on yourself for that.
That's good.
That's the invitation.
Yeah.
I think as someone that's really hard on themselves, really orientated towards achievement and perfection, is how can I just give myself more love, not less, and know that in doing so, it will not rob me of my ability to execute with excellence.
Yeah.
It's a gift.
So on music-wise, Tom Scott and Homebrew, like, got me through so much hard shit.
Yeah.
Like, through uni.
Yeah.
And it's like... I've told the story before. I was listening to Avondale Bowling Club before a rugby game in Australia, lying on my deck, glorious sunshine beaming in, and I tagged Tom Scott in the photo being like, this is awesome. And he like messaged me back being like, oh, sorry bro, it's a bit of a depressing album, not meant for like such a beautiful environment sort of thing.
It's perfect.
I was like, it's perfect, man. I was like, I love your music. So turns out last year you released another album. I've just found it.
Oh, mean.
And on my way here, it's like track 2 or 3 is about happiness.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and like he's talking about, and again, parenthood and things like that. He's talking about walking his son back, like in the pram through Avondale, past the place where he first got stoned, past the place where his friend hung himself. Like stories, all these stories, and he's a magician at storytelling. But all these stories, and it's just like, what is happy? And he's like, I'm just trying to pay my rent. I'm doing that. Like when we were in Homebrew, we were blowing up, winning TUI awards, pissing everyone off in the music industry, but I was wasted. I had no money, and I had nothing to show for it. So when you're like really driven, how do you create joy? How do you get that mindset of happiness?
Oh, that's a big question. The first thing that comes to mind is you have to decide what is enough and be disciplined with it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just keep going. And then you do that at the detriment of your own well-being.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's really a form of self-sabotage. You just kind of become really quite destructive. So you have to decide what is enough, and that has to be an inside job.
Mm.
And then I think there's also realizing and going to the root of what is it within me that resonates with doing so much and being absent from being, where I'm always doing. What is that part of me? And usually that's some inner child work, going back to your childhood, and usually involves some reparenting. So I do a lot of work leading myself and some of my clients through Know New Things with mothering myself and supporting people to understand how to kind of heal their mother wounds, and fathering myself. What would my loving father give me right now in this moment, and going back and doing that work either through meditation, visualizations, emotional releases, somatic work. There's so many different things that you can kind of dive into with that. But when the bit inside you is healed, it doesn't resonate to be that way anymore. You've kind of like fixed the root of what has built all of the thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, really, CBT. This is just my current understanding, and let this just be like a snapshot in time of my current limited understanding of trying to make sense of this stuff. But one really big pillar of reparenting is play and joy. And something that was certainly absent from my life. If I'm working 80 hours a week and dedicating my whole living being to doing and executing and creating, and that's a lot. When the fuck are you chilling out and just enjoying? So I definitely feel like, asking yourself as a child, what was something really fun that I always wanted to do but never did for whatever reason? Not to create blame, not to say, well, I'm like this because my parents never did that, but to just connect with your younger self.
So doing the thing that you wish you'd done as a child.
Because you can do that now because you're an adult and you can take your power back. And you can be responsible and the architect of your human experience through understanding those choice points. So there's a choice point when you create the awareness of, going back to my younger self, what's something I always wanted to do but never did? And so I love going to, it's like Jump, that place with all the trampolines, and like going in the ball pits. Yeah. I just find that so good. And colouring in. Yeah. I got like these really amazing pens and stuff, but sometimes it's also doing roly-polies down a hill. I also love playing pretend, like with fairies and like in a secret garden. Like I visualize myself going to this like really mystical place. What's it for you?
So I coloured in a pony today.
I love that.
We intuitively, so I was being led by Billy, we intuitively coloured the mane in different colours and her body in blue. And Nicole came along and said, "Yeah, that's right, that's Rainbow Star," or something like that. This was its name. I was like,
okay.
Yeah. We colour in. As I said, I drew some dinosaurs.
Love that.
It's cool being led.
By Billy.
Yeah, by Billy.
Yeah, kids are incredible.
Like she just likes being thrown around or like falling. Both girls last weekend we were doing like gymnastics inside. So the bunk beds that I bought had 2 swabs on them, and we got new mattresses. But while we don't have a couch, I've just got the 2 squabs in the middle of the lounge.
Yeah.
Which also doubles if I'm doing a Zoom recording. I like have one leaned against the wall and the other one leaned on it.
Yeah.
And it creates quite a good like sound shower.
Nice.
So they're just in the lounge. So yeah, like roly-poly's jumping. We were hopscotching last week.
Nice.
Playing with chalk, just running around the house.
Yes.
Chasing. Yeah.
Yes, I love
all those
it.
things.
It's so good.
I've got a Hills hoist, but no hoist clothesline, and so yeah, I like.
Okay.
Like put Billy up in there and swing her around the
fun.
clothesline. We're at the park yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Going on a slide or a swing.
Swimming. Oh, I climbed. Man, in Tokoroa, there's the like high ropes that we did at Ryla.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's kind of like a child version of that, but
of
course it's made for like smaller beings. So,
like your inner child?
Yeah, like 94 kgs or so up there on like between 2 ropes. I get quite a lot of swing going on. I was like, man, this is quite hard. And like you're in a basket and the ladder drops down because it's a rope ladder. And you're like, how am I supposed to get down there? Your whole basket that you're in's moving. Well, yeah. So yeah, lots of that. But then, yeah, so in CrossFit, I'm trying to learn like the gymnastics movements. So like handstand walking.
Oh yeah. You used to upload a whole lot of Instagrams doing all kinds of things.
I've been trying to do handstands for a long. I can do a handstand, but yeah, like trying to do them well is, I think
mastery.
Yeah, it is mastery.
Yeah.
And same with juggling. You
used to upload videos doing that.
3-4 balls. Muck around with those.
Yeah, and it's just fun.
Yeah,
it's for the sake of fun. Pleasure is so important. What lights you up? Like I read something the other day, our brains are wired for joy. That's what makes us different from animals or plants or something. I feel like I should have been listening to more bits. But the bit that I remembered was
wired for fun.
We're wired for joy. And so, to look for things that light us up and to respond to those things. Don't deny those things. Even if they feel weird, even if they feel random. It's like, you're wired for joy and what lights you up is what's for you. So, allow yourself to experience pleasure, have fun, find joy. It's part of our experience as humans. It's not all meant to be hard. Yeah. It's not meant to be focused on perfection all the time.
Do you like Joe Dispenza?
Yeah, I've been getting into Joe. I've read, I'm more of an Audible person, but what's the Audible one?
So I'm a Visceral Joe Dispenza. I like his
Visceral. I like
his ideas because so many people repost his stuff. Yeah, his stuff. So I just like observe it and it's great. But and I was trying to remember this with Luke and Rachel as well. It's like Bruce Lipton,
The Power of Belief. I just got that today.
So it is Bruce Lipton.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, he was at Spirit Fest.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's so fun.
Yeah. So both these guys are talking about your body physiology can, your brain physiology and your mood can be dictated by your health. But on the flip side, you can create your thoughts and feelings to manipulate your hormones to then influence your health. And so a simple thing is when you wake up in the morning and you've got those 84,000 seconds is today's going to be a good day.
Yes, this is the question I've been asking myself. If today was a good day, what would I do? Or what do I need for today to be a good day? And bringing mindful awareness to 3 things, and then I bring those 3 things to life.
And there's also the flip side of that word awareness here, talking about at the end of the day, despite what's happened, what are the 3 things that were great?
Absolutely. I just got that, is it the bullet journal?
Okay, yeah.
It costs an arm and a leg, but I'm so keen to try these things, right? Where it's like an affirmation, 3 things you're grateful for, and then a reflection on what would have made today even better.
Yeah, so if you're listening, that's where I stole my journaling practice from.
Oosh.
Well, it's not. I stole it a little bit from
it's a concept,
Tim Ferriss, Taller Titans, which I think he's talking about it in the concept of I think he says that like the bullet journal is a business version of this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's clever. Yeah. No, it's I think Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, what I remember, You Are the Placebo, that's the one I listened to. But it was really interesting. Obviously, someone that's on medication, I'm still on microtyping, but it's a really low dose, just 25 milligrams.
From 400, wow.
Yeah, which I did a lot with Dr. Steve Joe, actually, was really helpful to reduce that final stage. And I know that I can come off that final piece. It's just going to require me to up-level some of my other practices and rituals so that that transition can be really healthy. But
Dr. Steve Joe, by the way, is an awesome integrative practitioner here in Hamilton. Like,
he's incredible.
Talk about gifts, like living in Hamilton and having access to Dr. Steve Joe was pretty amazing.
Unreal.
That concussion, and so I had the concussion and I also had hip surgery earlier, at the end of the year before, and so I was, and it was just before Billy was born. I saw Steve in that period, and it was super helpful.
Yeah,
getting not in the woo-woo energetic side, in your energy.
Yeah.
Like,
it's all rooted in science.
Yeah.
He travels the world going to seminars and conferences and is at the cutting edge of all of that knowledge.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're good. Shout out Dr. Steve. So, yeah, you are the placebo. So as someone that takes medication, I've obviously always been curious about that kind of stuff. So it talks about the clinical trials when a new medication comes out and that people are given a placebo, and that the results of people who were told it was the medication, but it wasn't, was just like insane. Or like people that were... I really don't want to butcher it. I want to make sure I get this right. But I think it was the people that were in war and didn't have access to painkillers. The nurses would tell them that they had given them painkillers, and then they would still have the response as if it was like managing the pain, because for whatever reason they didn't have access to supplies or whatever, or I don't know what happened. But there was just a really interesting presentation of research, clinical research that had been done around this stuff that actually shows just how powerful the mind is with beliefs. And so I think that really encouraged me to want to kind of excavate my own belief system and understand, what do I believe to be true, and is there a different belief that would support me to evolve and grow in a different way, and how could I pick that up and try that on, and just what if, and it's been so much fun to experiment with. But that book was just like life-changing.
And it's like, going back to Steve Jobs, it's like, if the chemical imbalance thing is correct for you, where can I get those chemicals from, and how can I cultivate a better balance of those chemicals?
Yes,
within me,
And I think there's something really important here to mention, which is what I would describe as privilege. So for me, when I was first taking medication, I actually didn't have the education or the finances to afford me access to the knowledge or even the space and time to be able to look at how those things could work instead of the medication. And so at that point in time, I needed to be on that much medication. There was no two ways about it. Even when I think about where I'm at now, I've had incredible access to knowledge and practitioners and books and education, and the more you know, the more you know. And I just feel like where I'm at now, there's still some other things that would need to adjust in order for me to really fully commit. And that's why I'm still on that 25 milligrams. And I think for people listening, if you are on a medication or feel like you need to go on a medication, there's absolutely no shame in that. And it's actually an act of courage to honor where you're at and accept it and embrace the support that you need to be able to navigate it. And also that's like going back to what you're saying about your understanding of things. Same with this, is like, that's a point in time, and that's an aid that's going to help you continue on your journey and get to bigger and better next
places.
Step. Yeah.
Like you're saying with knowledge, then if it wasn't for the medication, you possibly wouldn't have got the knowledge. Going back to what the therapist or whoever it was said to you, Gemma, you're not going to be able to hold down a job or go to university or have a family, or those things, but you were in that spot at time to start something rolling to get those opportunities.
Yeah, it was a stepping stone. Yeah, and there's definitely times when I think back, like I was a uni student, like I couldn't afford to not eat gluten, and gluten is an inflammatory, yeah. And so
to many people,
that was really important for me. Like I needed to take the medication because I actually couldn't afford to buy food that would support me to be well and therefore be able to reduce my medication. So I feel like there's some kind of like nuances with this stuff where it's like, you know, people might hear something and be like, you know, that's for me to pick up and try on. But the reality is, you know, you've got to meet yourself where you're at. And if the reality is it is really difficult or challenging financially, it's like, okay, you know, I don't need to beat myself up that I'm not reducing my medication or that I'm on medication. I'm just accepting that this is where I'm at right now. And this is the support that's going to get me, like you say, to the next stepping stone where my circumstances financially may change or my living situation may change. And then that invites an opportunity or a choice point to go, okay, I'm afforded the privilege of being able to examine my current circumstances. I can buy organic, gluten-free, free range, even go vegan, whatever it is. And so that's going to give me an opportunity to examine my medication dosage and maybe look at going down with some support with a psychiatrist or an integrative practitioner or whatever it is. But I am so present to how my privilege has afforded me to get down to 25 milligrams, that's for sure, and live where I am now. Like, yeah, I just have to say that because it's just the more that I study my experience, I'm like, wow, you know, I've had some incredible privileges afforded to me, which has meant it's been easier to make that step to the next stepping stone. Whereas for other people, they may stay on that stone for quite some time because of their circumstances out of their control.
Yeah, starting where you're at. Yeah.
Yeah, and meeting yourself where you're at as well.
I think that's a good lesson. Like, a lot of people that have privilege push back on the idea of this whole privilege concept. But there's kind of like levels that those same people will get angry that they're not at a position in life that they hope to be. And I think they can afford themselves the grace that I'm on the journey to do that, to create that. And thinking on a larger scale, Luke and Rachel talked about like a 500-year plan.
Yeah.
And I think that's the power in ancestry. That's something that we can learn from Māoridom and whakapapa, that it's you're like a being in that journey of the whakapapa, that, you know, and you are improving the journey and the place for your family. Yeah. Like, that's, I don't know what influence that's created for me, but that's how I've been trying to look at things. Yeah. Yeah, Luke and Rachel asked me sort of what have I learned from this podcast, and it's been to think in more legacy. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. And it's funny you're talking about the placebo. Joe Rogan's always talking about the nocebo, which is quite amazing. What's this? So someone was on the placebo medication, took them all, came into hospital, freaking the fuck out, then metrics going through the roof, like nearly dying. Yeah. They rung up the study and found that they're on the placebo, told them, and they're like, well, you just took 20 sugar pills and everything returned to normal. They talk about this in the book. Yeah. Oh, they do. So it's probably from that book that he got it. But this is it. It's the belief. Yeah. It's the belief that I'm now going to die. I think there was a patient who also got given someone else's results from a cancer test or something, where this person was told that they had like days to live or something. And that they had terminal cancer and it was stage 4, whatever it is. I don't remember the details, but they were given the wrong results, and I can't remember, and I don't want to butcher it, but they either did pass or they were hospitalized and were in a life-threatening condition, but they were given the wrong results. It wasn't horrible. That, and they believed themselves into their... And it's just curious. I think all this does for me is just invoke a curiosity. Yeah. Like, whatever the difference in the worldview is, or whatever the difference in the lived experiences, or whatever the difference for me invokes curiosity. Yeah. And the difference doesn't mean separation. The difference doesn't mean I'm now going to make up a story about how I'm going to be better than you. Yeah. It doesn't mean that I get to get on my high horse and be self-righteous about how woke I am compared to where you're at. Difference for me invites curiosity, and that's it. And I feel like
going back to the rock thing, it's like, oh, that's interesting that so many people can believe so many different things, but we're all looking at the rock.
Yeah.
You know? And then I feel like if we could potentially look at differences as an invitation for curiosity, we may have less division, and we may find greater connection and, you know, oneness and understanding that actually we're all looking at the rock and we all actually are made of similar things as we look at the rock too. So, yeah.
Nice. I've got 100 other things that we could yarn about, but
we've kind of gone.
Yeah, that was a good way to like come back to where we started. So, where do people find you at the moment, Gemma?
You can find me on Instagram, _Gemma_Rose. And my website will be live when this podcast comes out, I'm sure, which is gemmarose.nz, which is where you can find my podcast and my group program, No New Things, and other ways that you can work with me.
And the podcast is called?
Take Your Meds. Take Your Meds. And it's on Spotify, Google, Apple. Yeah. So cool to get that launched. It's so fun.
Yeah.
It's just such a great space to channel creative energy and curiosity. So
awesome.
Super inspiring. But thank you for having me on. And it's so cool to we like, you know, so much time passes and we just kind of reconnect and pick up where we left off, you know, and it's such an interesting way that we came to be in each other's lives through Ryla, and then obviously the inspiration that you kind of invoked within me then caused us to kind of start this thing that then turned into a thing. And, you know, we've gone through different journeys and still kind of come back together, which is really cool. So I just want to honor you and your friendship and your presence in my life. It's really cool to watch you make your dreams come true with this podcast too, which is sick.
Lovely. Thanks, Gemma. So you've had a month off. What's kept you in flow?
What's kept me in flow? It's just surrender and trust and space and time with my inner guidance system.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lovely. We're done.